Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us as we continue our series of conversations here at the Creative Arts Power Convention. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Mia Harden, who is a talented graphic designer and graphic design coach. Mia, thank you so much for agreeing to share your time and your knowledge with us.
Thank you for having me.
Most welcome. Can you start by giving us a little bit of insight into your journey? Like, how did it begin? How did you know that graphic design is what you wanted to do and pursue?
Okay, great question. So I've always been a creative, even as a small child. So I would be drawing and painting and doing all of these things. So, as time progressed and I got to high school, I was enrolled in like web design classes and things like that. And so naturally I just took it upon myself to like dive deeper into web design and graphic design just to see what it was about. And I ended up falling in love with it. And so as I moved on to college or university, I started a business just out of the like need of like needing money as a college student or just, kind of living by myself. And so that took off quickly. I had no plan of it even taking off as fast as it did, but that is like the very beginning of my journey, and here we are today.
What are some of the challenges you'd have encountered along your journey?
So initially in the beginning of the journey, I would say that seeing more people that look like me in the industry. So I wasn't really seeing any black women or black women, I would say. There are men in the industry, but women specifically, and I'm starting to see a lot more of that now. But when I started around 2014, 15, I really wasn't seeing that. And so I definitely needed that community to help me, like we always need mentors or people that are ahead of us to kind of guide us and help us in what we're trying to pursue.
Okay, and you said you're seeing more women now.
Yes.
How important do you think representation is within your industry?
Very important. Like I said, just needing that mentorship and guidance, especially from someone that, looks like you and understands the struggles that we just naturally encounter as people of color, and just the lack of resources that we have sometimes as far as like even things like this, like conventions or just educational resources, financial resources. We don't always have that, so it's definitely super important.
What do you think sets you apart? All industries right now are super competitive because people are becoming more aware of the options that exist within these different industries. Within your industry specifically, what sets you apart?
Great question. I actually need to think about this a little. I do have an answer, but I would say currently, like present day, what is definitely setting me apart right now is being an educator. There aren't many educators, especially the way that I educate. I think that it is just a gift, or a God-given gift, if I may say so, that I have, and I'm able to like be able to present things to people, and it just makes sense to them. I've gotten that a lot from my students. Like they've tried to learn in different places, but the way that I'm able to break down information to them is just different. So I'm not sure, but I can only give credit to God for that, because
Okay, can you give us a little bit more insight into your approach to educating or knowledge sharing?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you give a little bit more information? Like, what's your approach to information sharing? You're saying that you're able to break it down in such a way that they grasp the concepts a lot easier than they would. What is it about your approach that makes it so easy for people to understand and grasp what you're trying to communicate?
Yes, so I think my approach is, even when I'm branding for clients or when I'm working for my students, I try to put myself in other people's shoes and figure out what problems are they having and how can I find a solution to it or for the problem that they're having. And so once I do that, I'm able to kind of like break it down, step by step. And I'm guessing like that's what's really beneficial to them.
Okay,
So yeah.
can you then identify or share some of the current trends and share ways that you incorporate these trends into your work?
Some of the current trends. So I try to. It's marketing, so you have to kind of like stay up on trends, but I also do want to remain authentic to myself as well. So I'm not gonna say that I'm a really big trend person, but things like just like trending sounds like on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. So I will indulge in things like that, or still understanding like trends of the design industry. So while I do want to remain in my design style, I do understand that like right now, for instance, color is like a really big thing. Maybe when I first started around like 2015, it was more so of like neutral colors, like like a nudes, browns, but now we've transitioned into like this whole colorful thing. So that's been really easy to transition into because that's just who I am anyway. I like color. So yeah.
During your journey navigating the graphic design space, have you found it difficult at any point to balance your personal style with the use of trends? Like, where do you draw the line?
I don't know how to answer this. I don't think. Like, not right off the top. How do I balance my personal style and trends?
Because, I mean, it's easy, and this is as an outsider because I am not in any way form a graphic designer, right? But some might argue that it might be easy to fall into the trap of not necessarily creating content or creating anything that is uniquely you because you're so caught up in trying to remain relevant by following the existing trends.
Okay, I got you. I understand now. So again, I think just doing things that feel authentic to me. So anytime that it does not feel, good in my spirit or just good to me, I just feel like it's not, for me to do. I see other people doing other things. And I mean, if I don't feel like attracted to it or I'm gravitating towards that, I just naturally let it go.
And does this apply to work that you do for clients as well? As a creative, as a creator, designer, have you encountered situations where you, in your capacity as the designer, know what's best and know what might work best, but the client doesn't necessarily see your vision? What happens in situations like that?
Well, I can only try to, just regurgitate that, this is like my profession and I understand and know what's going on and what's best because I do this day in, day out. But could you like repeat the question again?
I was asking, how do you navigate the challenges of knowing what's best but not necessarily having a client who understands or sees the vision and wants to go along with what you are proposing in your professional capacity?
I'm not sure why I'm losing it.
Have you ever been forced to like walk away from a situation? Because I mean, at the end of the day, your brand is also on the line. Because if it's a situation, I'm guessing, where this is not at all going to work, but you're forced to do it because this is what the client wants. Would you do it because it's what the client wants, knowing about the possible impact it could have on your brand?
Yes. So now I remember what I was going to say. So I think from the very beginning, I tried to be extremely clear about, what it is that I do, what my style is, so that people don't come to me with like, these certain expectations. And it's just like, well, I kind of already told you that this is not my lane, pretty much. So what you said about, if the client is like persistent in wanting something, if we can find like even ground and I'm just like, okay, this is not gonna ruin like my reputation and like I can kind of bend the rules for you, sure. But if it's something that's just completely absurd, no. Yeah, I won't do it. So pretty much we'll end up terminating the contract, which I've done.
Oh, how has the rise of digital media and social media influenced your approach to work?
How has the rise of digital media and social media influenced my approach? Definitely learning how to network and navigate the space and just be more present in a digital space. You have to, if you want to remain like relevant, you have to. So.
And what do you think it's needed to succeed or to get to where you're at within your chosen field?
Definitely networking, talking to people, educating people. Definitely, in my session yesterday, I talked about how people love to learn things from you. So as the creative, if you have anything to share on your digital platform or your digital space, like people are just going to naturally gravitate towards you, because people, especially business owners, are always trying to further themselves and just grow. So whatever it is that you have to share about your industry or what it is that you do so.
This conversation forms part of the Creative Power Arts Convention here in St. Kitts. You've been here for a couple of days, I'm assuming. What are your general thoughts on this event, and how important do you think events like these are to creatives?
So I think that this event is amazing. I don't even think we have anything back at home in the States like this. So big ups to you guys for putting on something so amazing for, your citizens and everything like that. I absolutely think it's, a great thing, and I wish we had more things like this at home. We do have conferences, but it's not like this. Like, this is specifically catered to like creatives, and like in every industry. I've never seen anything like it, where people can come learn about music, or come like learn from a seamstress or a designer or a filmmaker. Like, that's super dope. It's cool.
Some creatives believe that it's often difficult to ignore the noise. How much does the noise affect or impact your creative process, and how much does feedback play a role in your final products?
I will say it is sometimes hard to quiet the noise. That's just, for me at least, I'll say personally, as someone who is sometimes like anxious or dealing with like anxiety, there are tons of thoughts like, oh, maybe I should be doing this, maybe I should be doing that. But I think that, once you sit down and actually try to get focused and just, understand what your main goal is and get back to that point, it's easier to quiet the noise. Like, you have to take your eyes off of what everybody else is doing. Because that's literally going to be the distraction. You can't worry about what this designer is doing or that designer. Like, what is your end goal? And so once you figure that out, it's easier to quiet the noise.
Okay, nice. What has been the highlight of your career to date?
What has been the highlight of my career? Definitely transitioning into education or coaching. It's just been really fulfilling. It's been nothing like design. Like, design has been fulfilling as well, just designing things and seeing it come to life, seeing it printed. That's been really fulfilling. But to actually see the transformations in people's lives, it's been a blessing for me. It just makes me feel like I'm actually listening to God, and I'm walking in, what He's told me to do, because I've asked Him several times, like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so I just had to surrender and be like, okay, you said that this is going to be my thing. This is my lane. I'm going to listen to you. And when I did, my life changed, like, this is probably how I ended up here, honestly. So, yeah.
Okay. What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew earlier in your journey as a designer?
Something that I wish I knew earlier in my journey, that obviously comes with time, but the thing that I've been reiterating this whole time is just to learn who you are so that you can be authentic to yourself. And I didn't realize that in the beginning, so it's just like I'd be looking at what everyone else is doing, as far as like pricing my work or like what I should be offering to clients. opposed to figuring out what I liked as a creative, because I mean that does matter, you know, like this is my work and my passion, so I should be enjoying the things that I'm producing and putting out, opposed to kind of like trying to copy what other people are doing, because I think that, you know, that's what is needed in the industry, when really all that is needed is just my touch, you know.
What advice do you have for newcomers or relative newcomers to your industry?
Advice that I have for newcomers, always be open to learning. That's another thing, from the last question that I should have said. Always be open to learning, and don't be, you know, defensive when someone ahead of you is trying to like educate you, because now that I look back and like, you know, I was like younger, and just like, you know, as a new person or someone new in the industry, you can easily feel like intimidated or embarrassed, because naturally like you don't know what to do, and so you're still learning. But there are people who are trying to help you and lead the way, but you have to be open and receptive to listening.
And how do you envision the future of graphic design evolving in the coming years?
I envision it to only get better. I'm looking forward to seeing more Black and brown women join the graphic design industry. It's definitely important for us to be in these spaces and to be on marketing teams, so that the market's not missed when it comes to how we're represented, because we need to give our input, you know, on these things. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, but it's definitely only gonna get better.
What's one project that you worked on that stands out from all the others that you've done, something that resonated with you for whatever reason, and what was that reason?
Wow, I have a lot of projects that I really like, so this is kind of hard one for me.
What's the first one that pops in your mind when people ask you about your work?
One of my favorite or best projects or things that people reference is, it's for my esthetician client. It's the brand is Schenostics. She started out as an esthetician, and she's now moved into the space of e-commerce where she's selling her products. So she's selling like face wash and sunscreen and all of those things. But we've been working together for a couple of years now consistently, and so it's been a pleasure to witness the brand from where it started into like where it is now, and it's literally growing overnight. Like she now has like a warehouse, and she's on shelves, or she's headed to shelves, like big retailer stores. So that would definitely be one of my favorite projects.
Yeah. How big a role does social media play in your personal branding?
My personal branding, as far
Personal
as
branding for your brand, not the work that you do for clients. So me, I had on the brand, the work that you do, whether it's work you pitch or people that come to you. How much does social media play in that? And do you think you use it more now or when you first began?
Like in a personal aspect, so are we talking about like separating like me from like being a designer?
No, design me.
I'm not even sure. I'm not sure. Maybe can you like reword it? Or,
sure, no problem. What I'm asking is, a lot of creatives use social media as their first tool of marketing, and is a big part of their brand strategy.
Right.
So what I'm asking is, considering where you are right now, how much of a role does social media play in your marketing strategy, and do you think you use it more now where you are at, or do you think you used it more when you were just starting out?
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for that clarification. Definitely played a really, really large role. I will say that I used it a lot more in the beginning because, you know, I was trying to build a foundation and just set the tone for myself as a designer. But as I become more established, I will say, and I'm not super proud of it, but my focus has not been so much on social media, but really just fostering and taking care of the relationships that I've built. So I've gotten to a point where I don't really need to post on social media anymore because I've built those connections, and so people naturally know that, you know, I am a designer or I'm a coach. So they, like, my name now has weight to it. So they know that, you know, I'm available and I'm still working. However, I do think that it's still super important to have a social media presence. And as I am now coming back from a hiatus of work, it is one of my main priorities and goals to get back active on social media and post actively. So, yes.
Awesome. Final question. What's next for Mia Haden?
What's next? So, as I mentioned, I'm coming back from a hiatus. So, and this conference has really, really inspired me to get back, you know, to myself and just get back busy and get back working. So, definitely thinking that I'm going to start back coaching full time. I'm looking forward to it. Just even, you know, talking to everyone from the sessions, I see that there is a need for me to continue and to keep going. So I want to basically stand in that need and, you know, show up for people. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mia. Congratulations on all your successes and all the best in all your future endeavors. Looking forward to the rest of your sessions here at the Creative Power Arts Convention. And that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, please go. We'll be back where we continue more conversations with creatives here at the inaugural St. Kitts Creative Power Arts Convention. I am Dion Batiste. Good afternoon.